Hey guys, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today I want to talk about being anonymous online because the days of creating anonymous accounts on major platforms may soon be over, and this is very fascinating news coming actually out of Australia, but I think the impact of this could be global, and here's what's going on. Google has been ordered to reveal the identity of an anonymous online reviewer who is only known as CBSM23 to allow a Melbourne, Australia dentist to bring a defamation lawsuit against this individual. Now, this is basically an unprecedented ruling in the past week when we are looking at anonymity online worldwide, and Australia's federal court declared that Google must hand over information that would help this dental surgeon basically track down this person. On Wednesday, Justice Bernard Murphy said, and I quote, he deemed it, and I quote, it appropriate to accede to the application and to grant leave to Dr. Kababe, that's the dentist, to serve the proceeding on Google in the USA. I consider that Google is likely to have or have had control of a document or thing that would help ascertain that description of the prospective respondent, CBSM23. Now, under this order, Google will be required to provide subscriber information associated with this individual, this reviewer's account, including any names, phone numbers, IP addresses, and location metadata Google has collected. We know Google data mines, so I'm curious to see where that goes. And here's my thoughts on this. Now, while this is coming from the Australian justice system, other judicial systems around the globe that tend to have a very similar jurisprudence, like the United States, Canada, the UK, South Africa, other countries in Europe, tend to keep current with the precedents that are being set, especially when there's groundbreaking law being made, and that has an impact, sometimes an influence, in other judicial systems that are very similar in terms of, let's say, the rights of their citizens. And so I want to know, and this is the question that I've been asking myself here, is this ultimately a bad thing? Now, two things over the years have really struck me regarding anonymity that are negative, and I will talk about the positive. But if I'm focusing on the negative, when some people are anonymous online, we see civility out the window. I mean, we've all seen just horrible things posted when people disagree, these fights, or people, become overtly just angry or mean or cyberbullying when they can't be identified. If these people can be unmasked, whether it's a criminal investigation or, let's say, a lawsuit filed by one person against another, it may actually quell some of this initially, because a lot of people, not all, would stop and think and say, well, maybe I shouldn't be posting these horrible things even though I want to murder this guy, or whatever, because that might come back to haunt me in a lawsuit or a criminal proceeding. The other thing that I've noticed over the years, thanks to anonymity, is that there are review sites like Yelp out there, for example, that have had serious issues with reviewers wanting free stuff. Basically, otherwise they're going to give a bad review. We've all heard over the years where people have literally walked into like a restaurant saying, oh yeah, you're going to give me free stuff or else I'm going to give you a bad Yelp review, leveraging the power of that negative review to possibly impact the business in order to, get something for free. I think that is absolutely horrible and unethical, but people do that. People, quite frankly, suck. A lot of them do. There's also a lot of good people around there too, and there are some positives with anonymity. So, for example, if you're a dissident protesting your authoritarian regime, you absolutely want anonymity online because it helps to protect you from the government or legal system you are currently opposing, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's absolutely needed. Anonymity does also encourage people to speak up or whistleblow if they need to. And so if you have an anonymous platform, for example, people have been interviewed by things like The Intercept. I've used that recently in regards to Ring Doorbell. There's a whistleblower there. That's a good thing because those people fear, basically reprisal from the organization or government or company that they are blowing the whistle on. So I think there are some needed things, needed means for anonymity that are there. Now, this is probably going to affect, if this starts to come to fruition, the major platforms, the Googles, the Facebooks of the world. And by virtue of that, The question then becomes, how do they spin up identity validation? Will you need to submit a driver's license or a government ID in order to get a Facebook account or validate that you actually are who you say you are when you're spinning this up? Because right now I can make myself anybody and anything, any gender, any age, on these accounts, and they don't validate it. I can do whatever I want. And so I'm curious to know, by virtue of this, if we are going to start to see this motion move forward, and have this effect. Now, smaller platforms, those that are based on more, hardcore things like encryption, anonymity, and all of that, I don't think those are going away anytime soon. I do think you can be, anonymous online to an extent, but as we are being tracked and all of that, the major platforms that are now complying to data privacy laws, we may start actually looking at this as in their best interest to start validating identities as they are doing this, because then that gives them the ability to ensure that they are adhering to a compliance law, but then it's also removing that anonymity feature. So I'm curious to know what you guys think of this. I found it absolutely fascinating, but we may not be anonymous or as anonymous as we think in the very near future when we're online. And I think there's a lot of repercussions about that society itself, whatever society you're in, needs to discuss. So let me know what you think, and that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well, where I use my full and complete name. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.